Hello, guys, and welcome to another weekly Fox extravaganza, week 21. We have our typical 5 shows here: The Simpsons, Family Guy, Bob's Burgers, Bless the Harts, and The Great North, all here for yours truly, me, to talk about today. And these will be our last episodes for April. Bless the Harts, Bob's Burgers, and Family Guy will return May 2nd, and The Simpsons and The Great North and all 5 shows will be back on May 9th, Mother's Day. For some of them have special Mother's Day episodes, including The Simpsons. So I'm kind of excited for that one. So don't want to waste your time. Let's get started. Starting with The Simpsons and Panic in the Streets of Springfield. This one sees Lisa discovering the world of streaming music on her cell phone, and she discovers a band that she likes. It's very reminiscent of a British band called The Smiths, so it turns out they're kind of parroting that. And then she starts to become super obsessed with the lead singer. Like, he becomes her best friend, and, then she starts rebelling against her family. And on the side, Homer gets a truck to show that he's a man after Dr. Hibbert says he has a lack of testosterone. That's pretty much it. To be honest, there was some controversy this morning that Stephen Morrissey, the lead singer of the Smith band, that he didn't react well to this episode, and neither did I, but, we both didn't react well for different reasons, He obviously didn't like it because, how it depicted him as a racist who eats meat. And I didn't dig it because I found it to be pretty boring. However, to be fair, Morrissey has gotten a lot of controversy for his extreme practices, so I'm not surprised he didn't like it. The episode literally made fun of him, but without using, his name or his name, pretty much. First of all, in my opinion, this is easily one of Matt Selman's weaker episodes this season. I didn't find it very funny, and it wasn't even remotely interesting either. The Homer subplot was just nothing, to be honest. It's just him driving around in a truck. It doesn't do anything. It's not interesting. They've done this a lot where they have Homer just do some weird random thing, and it's not funny. It's not interesting. To be honest, even though Homer was selling mattresses and The Boy's a Bummer, I didn't think it was that great. It's kind of the same thing here. Although I will give it props. I did like how the two plots came together at the end, with the family using Homer's truck to find Lisa. So I didn't think Lisa's part was good either. There's been a lot of episodes about her depression and sadness, and we've had that since season 1. Moaning Lisa, The Summer of 4 Feet 2. Stuff like those two are just amazing episodes. They tackle depression well. And, they get to the heart of Lisa's character, but I don't know, to be honest. There are even recent ones that do it pretty decent, I'm trying to think. There's that one episode where Lisa gets sad, Lisa's not able to make friends, so then Marge pays someone to make a friend for her, but, at least that one had kind of a point to get across. I didn't think this one had a point to get across, to be honest. But I did like Lisa's new design. I liked that. The rest of it just wasn't anything interesting. Lisa was just really mean to people in this episode. I didn't dig that. There's no consequences she faced. She literally steals a credit card and doesn't get any punishment for it. But I do think there are some redeeming moments. I kind of like the lesson that Lisa shouldn't idolize everyone because, they may not be who they seem. The imaginary friend was okay, thanks to a great guest voice, by the way, by Benedict Cumberbatch. It's kind of because it's all in Lisa's mind rather than a real person who influences her. Now, it might be that, because the 2 other shows that I watch, Bless the Harts with Jesus and The Great North with Alanis Morissette, both of those shows use the imaginary friend trope in creative and interesting ways. Maybe my experience with those 2 shows kind of makes me a little okay with using it because, I get a lot of people don't like the imaginary friend kind of thing, but I think if it's used well, it's a very good asset to the show. I get that this is temporary, but I thought it wasn't bad. I like the Marge scenes at the end where Marge talks to Lisa about, her going as a teen and how Lisa's eventually going to go through the same phases, and she doesn't want her to make the same mistakes or do dumb things, and it's nice. That's pretty much it. It's kind of forgettable. I I hope I hope this isn't, I think this is one of Matt Selman's weaker episodes this season, along with the Christmas one, which I think might be a little better than this one, because at least that one had something going for it. I didn't really think this one really had anything going for it, but both of them were pretty boring. I think I'll probably forget what happened in this, to be honest. Like, if you ask me in a few weeks, I might even forget this episode happened. Next up, we have Family Guy and the Young Parent Trap. This one sees a group of younger parents notice Peter and Lois at Stewie's preschool, and they invite them to hang out with them because, the younger parents think that they're young too. Because, Stewie's baby, they're going to preschool. Which then they leave Meg and Chris at home alone. So then, to get them back in their lives, they pretend to be another young millennial couple. Like honestly, this episode makes me question why I still watch the show every week, because I mean, yeah, we've had and then there's Fraud and La Famiglia guy that, yeah, they make me question it too, but we've had multiple of these this season, and last season we probably only had one or two, but this season we already have almost 4 or 5 episodes that make me question why I still watch this show every week. Like, legit, even American Dad doesn't have this issue. Like, even though I think American Dad has really fallen from grace ever since they switched writing teams, I still think that show is more watchable than Family Guy. Because, well, for one, I like the structure of American Dad. I still think they kind of have that down. I just think that they're kind of relying too much on Family Guy 2.0. But, with Family Guy, like, a lot of the episodes nowadays are just like, oh, it's like a machine gun full of jokes. You know how machine guns shoot rapid fire, like a lot of the episodes nowadays are all about rapid shooting jokes, but if not every joke you shoot is going to be funny, so you have to kind of balance it out with at least some plot direction. I keep saying this over and over again, but the older episodes of Family Guy, they had a good balance of plot and jokes. If you go back to the first 4 or 5 seasons, you can still see that there was a clear, coherent storyline in each episode, and they still managed to make room for funny cutaways and jokes. Nowadays, it's just they just shoot rapid fire full of jokes, and 1 out of 10 of them land. And this episode, the Young Parent Trap was just basically a bunch of millennial jokes being shot at you, and almost none of them land. If you want me to name some of the good stuff, I did like the treatment business kind of thing, especially when it turns out that Meg secretly operated a business behind Chris's back. I also got kind of a good chuckle when Stewie asked the 6-year-old boy questions. The cutaway with the African man running and repeating a Peter Griffin in season 2 or 3, basically when he goes to the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory kind of thing, and then he falls and he's like, and he does 20 times. It's somewhat amazing. I like the callback. I just wish they stopped after 3 or 4 times, because I think they did it at least 10 times. And I was like, when are we getting to the rest of the episode? Because they're using these things to fill time. The thing that really pissed me off was the live action cameo. I just thought that was pointless and unfunny. That was probably one of the worst things about it. I'm probably not gonna talk about every single joke that I thought was unfunny, because I probably don't even remember they happened. But this episode, it's not just the unfunny jokes that are the problem. I think, again, the plot is also one of the problems. It's inconsistent. It's not clear. Most of it seemed like a bunch of gags that were somehow loosely tied together. It's kind of like a shoelace. They're tied together, but they could easily fall apart. So they're loosely there. It's kind of again, a shoelace that's about to fall apart, and you have to retie it. Now, keep in mind, though, I've heard this episode was written by the same person who did the Better Off Meg episode, which I really, really hate. It's one of the worst the show has ever done. I mean, I've heard some people like it, but like that episode just did not do anything for me. Like, it made me mad. Like, it's unfunny. It's mean spirited. It pissed me off. But because of that, I do consider this episode an improvement because it didn't actively piss me off, but it was still not funny and it was boring. Like, this episode was really, really boring. There are only like one or two, three smiles at most. I watched it twice. The first time I couldn't finish it, but the second time I at least managed to finish the episode at least, and it was somewhat better, but still not by much. The Family Guy had been on a decent run of episodes. I like The American Kind was pretty solid. Pete Terminator was also enjoyable because of how story driven it was. Like, even Customer of the Week, despite being not funny, it had a good structure and plot direction. But this and Who's Brian Now totally end the streak. And hope I have for Family Guy. And it's like back to square one. Like when I started season 19, it's like, okay, I'm really not looking forward to any of these episodes. So if I watch it and I like it, then it goes up. If not, it goes down. I hope the final 3 episodes of this season the final 3 episodes are at least tolerable for me, because this certainly was not it. Next, we're on to Bob's Burgers and Some Kind of Fender Benderful. This one sees a normal day at the Belcher restaurant, but Bob gets into a car accident. It's minor. It's like in front of his restaurant, and the other drivers try to form an alliance. So then Bob has to figure out how he's going to come on top of this. So, like, to be honest, I didn't really dig this one. Like the writers behind this episode were some of those that also did like some of my favorite episodes of the show, like Bob Actually in season 7, which won an Emmy Award. And I know Glued Where's My Bob was entered for, I think it was an Emmy Award or a Writers Guild Award, and I think it won too. But those episodes are just like near A+ tier episodes. They're like so good. And just like seeing those same teams, on this one before it airs, you're like, oh, you think it'd be a success. But as much as I love Bob's Burgers a lot and its production team and writing team, I respect this show so much. I love it. I'm just afraid that not every episode is going to land. It doesn't make me lose any of respect again, because I think they're all amazing at their jobs, and I think I'd never be able to do what they could do. I just think they kind of tried something that didn't land for me, and that's okay. It's okay. I mean, I'm sure people enjoyed this episode. I might be in the minority, but I for sure didn't dig it. I'll start off with some of the positives, because why not? I thought Teddy was the huge selling point of this episode. I like how he offers advice to Bob about car accidents and police officers. It's nice seeing Teddy help Bob, considering how much he's a regular at his restaurant and may even be his best friend. See the Friends with Burger Fits episode where Bob encourages Teddy to go to boot camp to lose some weight, and there he learns that Teddy is probably his best friend. I also thought the kids had some amazing lines too. But the show has had a strong track record of episodes, even in seasons 9, 10, and 11. But I thought this was rather weak for the show's standards. First off, it's not funny. It's not very funny. Second, I honestly think Bob didn't even get stressed or angry like he would in earlier seasons. I think there was a lot the writers could have explored, and I just felt like the episode didn't land for me because how mundane it felt. I think their personalities and the characters here feel rather calm, but also uninteresting and boring. I think that it kind of took away from. I think that took away from my enjoyment of this one. Because it's natural to feel frustrated and stressed during a minor car accident. Let alone a major one. I also thought the ending was pretty sad. It kind of felt like that family fracas kind of thing where, they don't even deserve to lose, yet they still do. Yet Bob still takes the blame because the clown lady would lose her job. Like, okay, like, I feel bad for the lady, but you got to think of yourself first, if anything. And it's not selfish because if these things cause your insurance rates to go up or you to lose your insurance, it's always better to focus on yourself first. It's nice to help others, but you should definitely focus on yourself first. Is what I believe. Like romancing the beef and die card or card trying had the Belchers win despite their challenges. So I'm not sure why this couldn't do the same. I think it would have been. I think it would have made the episode a little bit higher. It's not bad. I think it's watchable, but for this show's standards, I think it's pretty disappointing. I think it'll be one of the weaker ones this season for sure. I think currently out of the worst 5, it's like number 4 in my book. I mean, I don't think any of the episodes are like bad, but I think they're mediocre. Like a few of the episodes this season are pretty mediocre, including this one. And it's really sad to hear because last week's, proved that, they can still be creative and unique and funny and that episode even grew on me with a rewatch because I love the setup of the show. It's so creative, it's so innovative, it's unique for the show and kind of for sitcoms in general, but I just hope the final 4 episodes of the season bring something big to the table since unfortunately I think that why I still like the show a lot and I think this season is great. I only think the really hard hitter, the standout episode this season was 200. There's a lot of episodes that are great, but they're not, impactful, hard hitting like episode 200 was. Like, I hope they at least could bring another of that quality by the end of the season. I'm hoping that May 2nd's episode, Vampire Disco Death Dance, does that because I'm really looking forward to the premise. I think it'll be great for Bob and Tina to bond over dancing. Yeah, and it kind of reminds me of that episode where Jenny and Violet bond over dancing, but I honestly think that one will be better, to be honest. Either way, I still love Bob's Burgers no matter what. No matter what, I just thought this didn't land for me. It was fine. Next up, we have Hoot from Bless the Harts, and this one sees, Wayne's Meemaw and his family clan moving into his extra land that he discovers, while Violet looks for Uncle Tommy after he runs into the woods. I will miss this show, even though I didn't like this episode, I seriously do not want to watch this again. I think I watched it like twice already, and it didn't really do anything for me. So I would probably, if I want to rewatch this series, I'd probably skip this one. But, I've already given it a chance. I don't think it deserves any more of my chances. I was actually really looking forward to Hoot because I wanted to know more about Wayne's family and what they're like. But the potential to know them more is instead wasted on Southern hick jokes and how his family is obnoxious, and it's not funny either. I thought Hoot and Haw started off okay with the family and Wayne learning that Wayne has some extra space in his land after he clears out some stuff like the skunks. They call an exterminator. They clear out the skunks, and then he finds out he has a little bit extra space. Honestly, I think the episode should have just been Jenny and Wayne fighting skunks, because I think that would have been so much more fun than what we got here. I know the show and, the producers and creators of the show teased that Wayne would get shot this season back in September of 2020 before the season 2 premiere. I was really excited for that because I thought it might be bold, different and even brave. But I think the tease of it, it just ends up being a total fake and disappointment. Wayne fakes his shot, quote unquote, with barbecue sauce as the blood to get his Meemaw and the clan off his land. There's literally so much they could have done with that storyline, with the Southern Hicks, and it just went to waste on this, and just the jokes that don't land, the stereotyping. It just didn't work for me. I thought the duel part would have been way more interesting if one of them was actually shot, but however, I did like Betty's conversation with the Meemaw about Wayne being a good man, and the Meemaw then tells Betty, oh, he met a girl, and he stopped talking to me, and the girl ended up being Jenny. So I am it's nice to know that at least she knows that Wayne is happy with Jenny, and she's understanding of that. The subplot, however, saves Hoot and Haw from being a completely poor episode. Seeing Violet go out on her own with a little bit of screen time was probably the best part of it was easily the best part of the episode. Not probably, easily. I like her creative thinking and like how she has to think like Uncle Tommy to find him. I like seeing her go in the wild, going crazy, and acting like him. There's a lot of scenes that look like she's high on drugs, but and she's really high on sugar. But they're animated so well and nicely, and they're fun to watch. I also liked how Uncle Tommy ends up saving Violet. Even though he runs away, it's nice to know. Yeah, it's nice to know that he he knows that someone's looking out for him, despite his obnoxious behaviors. It makes me like him a lot more than in Trash Twins, where I thought he was super annoying and obnoxious. But this at least makes him more likable in my book. The subplot of this one definitely exceeded my expectations because how funny and creative it got. I honestly wish it would have been longer than the main because this was easily the highlight of the episode, like easily the best part. It saved it from being like a poor episode. Again, I'm still sad to see the show leaving, but I think Hoot and Haw is easily the second season's weakest episode. Like, I said it was Easter's at first, but Easter's ended up being better because simply because of that ice, which was like fully creative. The concept was just ruined by a poor final act, and the subplot was also enjoyable. But I wanted adventure and excitement with Hoot and Haw because the duel had just so much potential. I wanted to see Wayne actually do more and his family get actual character development and funny lines, but instead I got boring and obnoxious, so I won't be watching this one again. Finally, we have the Great North and Tusk in the Wind adventure. This one sees Beef and Wolf find out their idol, Tusk Johnson, is in town, so they pay him a visit. Meanwhile, the other Tobins, Ham, Wolf, Judy, and even Honeybee, they get hooked to the ex-wife's old videotapes of a drama called Dynasty. And like as soon as they watch it, they get immediately hooked, and that's all they watch all day. So, this was the only good episode of the week, and it's really disappointing because I've never had a week where every single show was disappointing or like not at the show's A game or even remotely good. But I will say this was actually the only good or even great episode of the week. Like it's not even close. Like you have Family Guy down here, The Simpsons like slightly ahead, and then Bless the Harts is like super so slightly, and then you have Bob's like maybe in the middle, and then you have the Great North all the way over here on the right, like all the way at the other side of the spectrum. The spectrum of the if you kind of think of like a bar, or maybe like a number line, and you put all my ratings there, you can see that the Great North is by far like easily the best one of these. Yeah. And you'll see my score later, but I am telling you it's a good score coming. So I like the show tackling the theme of meeting your idols and heroes. There's plenty of great jokes. I'll start with the subplot. It's pretty short, but it was entertaining. It doesn't overstay its welcome. And it's nice it stayed short because the A plot needed that great focus that would have been lost if this had dragged on just ever so slightly longer. It was funny to see the Tobins become obsessed with super old dramas, and it actually felt real because many of us have been staying home for a little more than a year now, 13 months to be exact, and because of what, I don't need to say it. If you haven't heard of it, you've been living under a rock. And that has brought people, to binge many shows and movies, old and new, as they stay stuck at home during quarantine. I like the box of movies the family keeps. It seems like they like to cherish their memories. We had an episode last week that had a theme of you should cherish your memories. Anyways, let's get on to the juicy stuff, the A plot. You know, the one thing that I like about the A plot is that Wolf and Beef, like Ham and Judy, play each other off really well because they're similar in many ways, but they're also different in the same amount. You know, Beef has more masculine qualities, such as waking up early, doing hard labor, and even going on adventures, but he's also emotionally insecure due to his wife leaving him. Meanwhile, you have the son Wolf, who's goofy, silly, he loves movies and pop culture, but he also likes going on adventures like his dad. You know, Beef is very aware of his son, and he continues to support him to the best of his abilities, despite him being, inferior to him at many things. Yeah, and it's proven that, Wolf can do almost every task his father does, even though he's slower at it. I like Beef standing up to Tusk after seeing that he's a danger to his son once he kind of reveals his true colors. It was sweet to see that. It proves, family's there no matter what. I like the message of that, especially when Wolf apologizes to his dad for that fight earlier, when he found out his father kicked out Tusk, his idol. I'll list a few funny moments. My favorite was when Beef and Wolf were squealing when they saw Tusk in person. Just seeing them squeal and laugh back and forth made me laugh pretty hard too. I like the sidekick Dan lines, and it was even funnier when Tusk reveals that he stole his wife. I literally did not expect that, but I was laughing out loud. I also really got a good laugh at the Tobins immediately being obsessed with the Dynasty seasons. Like, it was even nice, and sweet to see that Beef brought the rest of the DVDs for the show so they could finish, so they could all finish the show. And, it's so funny that even Beef gets hooked on the show himself. To be honest, again, I am sad because this was the only good episode. I already said it earlier. It's not even close. I think The Great North is a show I'll really come to love in season 2. Everything about season 1 is pretty good. There's some flaws, but I think season 2 could be like the indicator of the perfect comedy series. It has heart, it has laughs, it has interesting characters and stories, and I really hope this show stays around for quite some time. I hope it at least gets 4 or 5 seasons. It can end at 100 episodes, and I'd be totally fine with that. So it doesn't drag, but I wouldn't want it to end after 35. I think season 1 is pretty good. It's very strong for a debut season. It only has me wondering again what the quality of season 2 will be like. The show really exceeded my expectations. It's sad that people aren't digging it. It's not for everyone, but I feel like a lot of people just hate this show just to hate on it, and that makes me pretty sad. Please, Fox, don't cancel this. Don't. Lizzie and Wendy and Minty Loomis brought us something special. It actually brings me back to the older days when sitcoms even The Simpsons back then emphasized family and relationships. I literally, with Bob's and Central Park, I cannot have the show taken away from me. Now, I already have Bless the Harts taken away from me. Please just don't take the show away from me. So, those are my thoughts on this week. I know I went on pretty long, but I actually had a lot to say about these shows, especially The Great North, and I'm not sure. I know I said a lot because it's been almost 30 minutes. So if you watched this whole thing, that's really, really nice. I'm glad you like my content. So, The Great North was the only good one of the week. The Simpsons was Bless the Harts was too. Worst of the season. Bob's was decent. It's fine. And Family Guy was a full disappointment. But I kind of expected that reading the log line, so I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know why I'm so disappointed, because I kind of expected it. So, The Great North is the only great one this week. So, let me know what you thought in the comments. I want to know what you think, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.